Hey Crafty fam, it's Alex Vanover and welcome back to my craft room. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this super cute DIY wedding hashtag sign using a mini chalkboard easel with vinyl and your Cricut. I got this image from creativefabrica.com and I love to use Creative Fabrica's work, so I will be sure to link this file for you in the description as well as all of their subscription options. So I have the all access subscription, which means that I download as many of their fonts and files as I want every month, and I don't have to pay individually for those files. I just pay that one time a month and I can use whatever I want. So if you're interested in that, I will link that in the description as well. You can use the code DIYAlex30 to get 30% off of any of the subscription options that you use, just for being awesome and for being a part of my crafty fam. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. But let's jump into Design Space and I'm going to show you how to format your SVG so that it looks like it was made to go on your sign. So let's get started. Okay, crafty fam, in order to get started using SVG files with chalkboard signs, the first thing we need to do is import it into Design Space. Now, I already have my image imported, and if you need help, I will put a YouTube card up in the right-hand corner of the screen so that you can see how to load files into Design Space. So I'm just going to click this one and insert this image into my project. And I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller so that it's easier to see on our screen. And the first and easiest way that I have found to make sure that your sign fits on whatever sign you're going to use is to actually create a little model of it on your canvas. So you're going to go to Shapes and click the square. And then you need to make sure that you measure your sign. So I'm going to click the unlock button down here on the lower left hand corner, and I'm going to make my rectangle 5 inches wide by 6.5 inches high, because that's the size of my chalkboard sign. So make sure that you make that rectangle whatever size your sign measures, and I'm going to turn it to black. Then I'm going to go over to my image and I'm going to rearrange these parts so that it fits well on my chalkboard. So the first thing I'm going to do is ungroup it, and then I'm going to take these parts and kind of move them around a little bit. So I'm not going to end up using this bottom oval here. So I'm going to go into the contour tool and I'm just going to unclick that outline. That way I don't have to worry about it. And I will just have the pink little oval on the bottom for the hashtag. Then I'm going to turn all of this text over here white, because that's the color I want it to be. And then I'm going to start moving it over onto my sign. So I'm going to take it line by line, and then actually I'm going to group it and move it over so that I can keep it all proportionate. So I'm going to grab all this and drag it over, and then make it quite a bit bigger. And you'll have to play with the sizing a little bit once you get it onto your sign, because you want it to make sure that it looks good for you. So then I'm going to resize this camera, and I'm also going to change the color of it. I'm going to make it kind of a beige color or a peachy color on my canvas, but it's going to be a really pretty sparkly champagne vinyl. And then I'm going to move the heart over. I am going to keep that pink because I'm going to turn it rose gold. Put that in the center of my camera. And then of course the hashtag part is the most important part of the sign. So I'm going to move this in here and make sure that it looks good and it's easy to read, because it's the entire point of this sign. So even if we have to make some of this text smaller, we just want to make sure that our guests can read whatever we have written down here. So I'm going to make my oval a little bit bigger. Maybe a little bit smaller than that. I try to leave a little bit of margin on the edge of my sign. That way, in case I don't get it perfectly centered, I'm not hanging off the side at all. And then I'm also going to unlock this lower left-hand corner and drag it down a little bit so that my oval has some height. And I'm actually going to slice the hashtag that I have out of this oval so that the black will show through on the chalkboard and it'll look super cute. So I'm just going to add a text box and I'm going to put hashtag Alex, whoops, Alex and Drew say I do. That was my actual hashtag for my wedding a couple of years ago. And one pro tip that I have for you guys is if you have a font that has uppercase and lowercase letters, it is easier to read when the first letter of each new word in a hashtag is capitalized. Just in case you have people at your wedding or bridal shower that are not familiar with hashtags, that makes it a little bit easier for them. So then I'm going to filter to my system fonts, and I think I'm going to use, let's see what A Day Without Sun looks like. So I really like how skinny that font is. I think that looks really cute. So let's drag it over and put it over top my oval and resize it. And I want to get it just the right size so that it is easy to read, but it also looks good on my shape. Oops. It's a little tricky to make sure you're selecting the right thing. So I might make my oval a hair thinner since my hashtag is not taking up all of the width of my sign. Like that. And then I'll scoot it over a little bit and scoot it in a little bit more. And that way the two go together perfectly. And I'm okay with letting my Y hang down a little bit just because I think this font is easy to read, and that's really, really important. So in order to slice, you want to keep in mind that you can only slice 2 items at once. So I have the pink oval already selected. I'm actually going to move it up just a hair. And then I'm going to go over to my layers panel, hold down the shift key and click my text as well so that I have them both selected. And then I'm going to click slice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all these pieces off of the chalkboard because as you can see, it creates like several different shapes, and you just want to make sure that you don't have any extra layers there that you don't need to cut. So I'll go ahead and eliminate the 2 text pieces that were created, and so now you just have this oval with this text sliced out of it. So now that I have this created, I can adjust the rest of my sign. Oh, I got a little piece there that was left behind from my slice. There we go. So then we're gonna make any final adjustments to the chalkboard just to make sure that it looks nice and proportionate. And again, you wanna try to make your vinyl as big as possible because it's easy to read that way, and it's just really gonna make this text pop since the chalkboard is black and the vinyl is gonna be like white, rose gold. I'm going to select this and select the use the hashtag line because they're both gonna be white vinyl. I'm gonna use the align and center horizontally again to make sure those are centered. And then I'm going to attach those two because they are going to be the same color of vinyl. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the heart and the oval here at the bottom. I'm going to attach them, and this is going to allow them to cut at the same distance on the mat so that it's a lot easier for me to layer. And then I believe this image is just all one piece, so I don't have to attach that. We will select the rectangle and click the eyeball so that it goes away because we don't need to cut that out. That was just for reference. So then we'll save it again. And now you can see that we're only going to be cutting 3 mats. So then we'll click continue. And my maker isn't turned on just yet. I'm going to cut all 3 of these layers, and then I'll show you how to apply them to the chalkboard sign after I cut them out. So the next step to making your chalkboard sign is to take your cut and weeded pieces of vinyl and add transfer tape to them. Now I'm going to add transfer tape separately to all 3 of these pieces, and I'm going to layer them one at a time onto this chalkboard because that's what I have found the best way to get the straightest application without bubbles is. Another tip that I have for you is to use the least tacky transfer tape that you can stand. If you use something like Cricut strong grip transfer tape, there's a chance that with these cheap chalkboard finishes that you're going to rip some of the chalkboard finish up off of the sign. So the less tacky, the better. You can even sometimes reuse your transfer tape pieces, but I'm not gonna add them all to the same piece of transfer tape because I just haven't had as good of success with that. So I'm gonna lay my piece down on my transfer tape. I have always found that with the clear medium tack from 651 vinyl, which is my favorite transfer tape by the way, that I always have better success when I take my vinyl to my transfer tape instead of taking my transfer tape and laying it on top of my vinyl. So then I'll cut this piece off. You know, before I tried the clear medium tack transfer tape, I always thought that the fact that it has no backing would weird me out, but I actually really like it. I waste way less paper this way, and I don't mind leaving uneven pieces on my roll because it really just doesn't bother me the way that I thought it would. So then you want to flip your piece over and you want to burnish really, really well with your squeegee, and that basically just means to rub the vinyl and transfer tape using your squeegee. You don't want to use a ton of pressure here, but you just want to make sure that you get a good grip on all of the letters. Since I have a bunch of intricate pieces, I'm going to take the backing off of my vinyl so that I can easily see if any pieces are trying to come up with the backing. The reason I'm starting with the white vinyl layer is because I think that it's going to be the most important to lining it up on my little sign because this text goes at the top, so it's going to be the most obvious if it's off center. So I'm just going to line this up going toward the top of the chalkboard, and then I'm gonna eyeball down here at the bottom and make sure that this is mostly centered. But this is the reason that attaching all of your layers that are the same color makes it so much easier, because this way I can line up this piece and this piece at the same exact time. Then I'm gonna burnish lightly again with my squeegee. Then I'm gonna peel the transfer tape off. I like to bend it back at like 180 degrees. I always find that that's the best angle for transfer tape. And then it allows you to see pieces like that little C that are trying to come up with your transfer tape. You just lay it back down and rub over it with your finger or your squeegee again. But chalkboards are actually a really, really great surface for vinyl, so that makes it really easy to use them for signs. There we go. Oops. Another tip, if you are really, really having trouble getting your vinyl off of your transfer tape, is to use a tennis ball or a 651 vinyl ball to roll over top of your vinyl. And that really helps work the vinyl into the crevices and the creases of the sign and makes it stick really, really well. So I think I'm actually gonna cut the heart and the bottom piece apart. That way I can line up the hashtag part at the bottom. Then I can line up the camera with my little heart. That way, in case I apply this in a different way, I don't end up with a heart not matching up with my camera. So that's an easy fix. I'll just cut these two apart. And by the way, this did end up being a little bit of a pain to weed. You might want to take a lesson from me and use a slightly thicker text even though you're slicing. And so I'm just going to try to line this up with the bottom the very best that I can. And peel this the same way. The only thing I'll have to watch here is the centers of my letters that are super small. They may try to come up with the transfer tape. Perfect. Now the last step is going to be this cute little camera. So I'll reuse the same piece of transfer tape again. Just pick up the whole thing. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys, so this is white matte 651 vinyl. This is just what I had on hand already. This rose gold oval at the bottom is StarCraft HD in rose gold, and it's the matte color. And then my sparkly champagne little camera is StyleTech Ultra Glitter. I absolutely love using this stuff. This sparkle champagne is like one of my favorite colors that I always keep on hand, especially for stuff like weddings. So then I'll line it up. I'm kind of centering it with the word day above it, just to make sure that everything looks good together. Okay, and last but not least, I just need to put this little heart on there. And I don't even need transfer tape for this because it's just a single shape. There we go. Look how cute this little sign turned out. I think this would be so cute placed around your wedding to remind people to use your hashtag, or placed around a bridal shower. It's just absolutely adorable. And I did find this cute little mini chalkboard easel at the Target dollar spot, but I found some really close alternatives on Amazon, so I will link those for you in the description. If we haven't already connected on social media, I would love to see your work. So if you decide to post your wedding hashtag sign, please make sure to tag me at DIY Alex Vanover. I'll be sure to put the links to all my social media profiles in the description in case you're interested in getting connected with me over there. And if you decide to use the links in the description, like the file link or the link to the subscription, those are affiliate links for me, which just basically means if you decide to shop through those links, I get a little bit of extra commission at no extra cost to you. And that just helps me support my channel and make all the free content and videos that I do for you guys. So if you decide to shop through those links, I would greatly appreciate it. And I hope we can craft again soon.